Hello and welcome back to the Down the Bay podcast. I'm your host Jacob Chick, and today I'm joined by Joe Cook. How are we today, Joe?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you doing yourself?
I'm all good. Excited to talk about some hockey. Been a long while since been able to do it, so glad to be getting down to it today. Got a lot of Devils news to get through, and
A lot
well,
on the
hopefully
board.
talk.
Let's get through it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot to talk about with you as well. How have you been spending your time? Obviously, stuck indoors a
Oh,
lot, I imagine.
yeah, obviously not being able to go out or do anything. It's been up to my absolute eyeballs in uni work, deadlines left, right, and centre. But apart from that, keeping myself busy, getting some work done. So it's not too bad.
Not too bad. Obviously, some people may know you off Twitter. You know, you've done a little bit of designs for the Devils. They've obviously shared them around a bit. So, have you got any big plans coming up for them? Have you been working hard on design?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to get working on, but it's more so just finding the time to do it. Obviously, it was nice recently. The Halloween logos I made did a bit of like an overhaul through the social media. That was pretty nice to see. Um, but yeah, if they need anything, I'm right here. More than happy to put some content out. So let's
There
wait
we
and see,
go,
I guess.
people. Heard it here first. get behind this man right now. Yeah. So have you been keeping up with hockey much? I mean, obviously you had the streaming series just a couple
Yeah,
of
I
days ago that
have.
ended now.
I try my best to keep up with as much as I can, whether it's like player news or like especially Devils or like HL related. I try to sort of keep informed so I know what's happening because I just not being funny, being without it's been an absolute nightmare so far. So I'm just clutching on straws, just waiting for it to come back really, and just waiting
Yeah,
out.
I
So
think everyone's the same. Everyone's trying to get as much news on the players. I think everyone's trying keeping tabs on where everyone's gone, how they're doing, who's retired, who's stayed with us. It is a bit of a nightmare, but definitely looking forward to it at the moment. So yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
I'm excited.
in terms of action, streaming series, did you manage to catch any of it?
Yeah, I watched a fair few of the games. I didn't catch all of them. I obviously mostly followed Swindon with
Yeah, same. A lot of the
all the
Devils
Devils
players came
players.
over.
But no, I watched a fair few, and I was actually really like sort of I was quite surprised by it. It was nice. Like Swindon opened up with that sort of like it's been a while video. That was pretty nice to see.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was nice seeing obviously a lot of the Devils guys get some time on the ice during like a long off season. But yeah, I managed to watch a fair few. I watched like a fair few of the games, and I was actually really impressed by it. I think the guys did really good.
yeah. I think everyone was really happy. Well, Devils fans would have been when Maya scored the first goal after since ice hockey's been off. So I think everyone's really happy with that. And I
Yeah,
mean,
it was lovely.
we're doing this podcast today. We're going to be talking about all the Devils players. I think we may as well start with the ones who have been involved in the streaming series. So we've obviously had Matthew
Yeah.
Myers, Thomas Rutkiss, and Josh Batch all involved with Swindon. I mean, they didn't end up winning the competition, but I mean, you could see how good. I mean, especially Matthew Myers. I don't think people have seen him play so well in such a long time. It's been amazing. He's on fire from minute one, literally, with the
Yeah, they
goals.
all, they all went out there and they put in like a real good effort. Like even like look at like Tom's Rutkiss. Obviously, he's been with Swindon for a while too on the two-way deal, but he's out there. He's producing points. Like he's doing good. Like all the boys out there did brilliant. Like Batchy, Rutkiss, Myers. Like they
Yeah,
all performed well. And I think obviously with the change of circumstances, and it's been a while since they've been on. I think they were doing solid.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got the stats here. I mean, we've had 2 goals and 6 assists for Myers. That's eight points in 4 games. That's a pretty decent return, if you ask me.
That's insane.
Tom's had 5 goals, 1 assist. So I mean, he actually had the best goal scoring record. So he's firing him in Swindon, which was it's really nice to see actually. When you put trust into a player, you send him to Swindon. You see his stats. He does well, but you don't really pay attention to how he's actually playing. Being able to watch him and see the stats stay the same, despite obviously
Yeah.
better players coming into that league. I was really happy with how he performed. And then Josh Batch, obviously playing D as well, still managed to get 2 assists, which was nice to see. And I thought when they were on the ice together, they had Ben Davis on their line as well. I mean, it really was it was a sight to see, really, that hockey. And I just
We,
can't wait for a bit more to come back now.
well, yeah, it was nice to see Rutkiss really sort of come out of his shell because I think a lot of Devils fans only get to see like quite a limited set of his potential in a way that he gets obviously there's no like it's no surprise he gets limited ice time down in Cardiff.
Yeah.
But I think, like people got to see like him like really sort of come to himself, and yeah, like it speaks for itself really.
Yeah, obviously the two-way deal is I think it's
I
a
mean, yeah,
massive
like
thing for us to be able to send him to Swindon to get the minutes, and then I mean he played a fair bit last year, didn't he? I remember him coming in a few times. Obviously, we had a couple of injuries, so he was able to come in and get some decent minutes. And I
yeah, I
don't
think
think
he's solid.
he
Like
didn't
you
score
can
last
watch
year,
him.
did he? But he did get a couple. I think he got two assists, 3 assists. I remember him
Yeah,
playing like played a string of games, didn't he? When we went away to Coventry and
yeah.
back again, I think it was
He
against.
did put up some minutes, but I think the one thing that always stands out with me is his speed more than anything. Like
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
he's up and down that ice. Like it seems like he never gets tired. He's non-stop, and obviously that's probably something that comes with him being one of the younger guys on the ice, especially when he's playing for us. But he's always putting in the effort, and I think that's what you want to see more than anything. Is that he wants to be there. He wants to like sort of earn his spot, and I think that's really good.
Yeah, we see that with a lot of Brit players, though, don't we? Myers, Batch. I mean, they're 100% for as long as they're on the ice. They'll put in 100% effort. I think Rutgers is no different. I mean, there was a few times we had sort of that Brit lineup, wasn't it, of
Yeah,
Duggan, Batch, and Myers all on one line. And I think if Batch was to drop the D, like permanently, because it was obviously left wing, left defense. It must have been a hard season for Batch last year. Actually, being having to switch it. I know he does it pretty much every season. He's forced to go between two positions, but I think last year it worked really well having that sort of that Brit line, Mark Richardson behind as well. Sometimes so it was literally a whole Brit line, which was really nice to see.
genuine.
I think Tom's coming into that if we need him to. Looks capable now. I mean, obviously he's not going to get the same minutes as someone like a Myers or a Batch, but we've seen Duggan had improved minutes. He's gone away to Sweden. We'll get onto that in a little bit as well. I think Tom's will get some improved minutes hopefully next year as well. That'd be really nice for him if the league does go ahead.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Obviously, yeah, like providing he comes back and everything goes to plan in terms of us starting. But yeah, I think he's definitely starting to come out a bit, and I think especially since when he like sort of first started playing for his Devils games, like his game has improved. You can't deny that, and I think people are seeing a lot more of that because Swindon have had a bit more exposure, and they're seeing a bit more of him getting more minutes, putting on more shots on net, and getting some better chances in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think most of his games actually were away as well, so it's very limited the amount of fans who actually would have seen him play last year.
Yeah,
It would have just been highlights probably, and that's only if highlights were recorded in the games he was in. But
exactly.
yeah, I mean we sort of covered the Brits still playing in the lower league, but we've seen a pack of players join Greenville. Obviously, following Andrew Lord across the pond, we've had Sam Jardine, Mike McNamee, Joey Haddad. That was 2 days ago, I want to say now. 3 days ago, that was announced.
Yeah, it was
And
quite recent.
Bryce Reddick obviously joined a little while ago, but I mean, looking at pictures of them training, they're all smiling, they all know each other. That's got to be a
They're
massive
all
boost
happy,
for
aren't
Lord,
they?
and it's probably a big boost for us if I'm not sure how it's hard. How many players are going to come back?
Well, that's it. Like you're keeping them together. Yeah, like I suppose when you're keeping them together and they're keeping that chemistry, and if any of them are to come back, which I don't believe was actually mentioned in the statement, if any of them have signed for next year,
Yeah.
obviously you hope they do. I'd happily take any of those players back, but they're still keeping that chemistry together. They're still getting ice time together. You'd imagine Lord would keep them sort of playing roughly together.
Yeah, you could imagine them being on a line together anyway. I mean, Joey Haddad, McNamee, and Jardine were all
Yeah,
line one, if not line two players, depending on the system or team we were coming up against, and Bryce as well. I think just for the familiarity to throw him in a line. I think Jardine and Reddick had a couple games together before it switched to McMonagle, didn't it?
yeah,
The games, but yeah, I can't imagine Bryce is coming back. I believe because he went to Atlanta because
yeah,
he's moved out there, hasn't he? So
yeah,
I can't imagine Bryce being back. But the other three, obviously, Haddad, McNamee, Jardine, they all joined within minutes of each other, which was
yeah.
I think people were expecting it, wasn't there? There was a lot of our players who still didn't have a team to play for, and then three leaving in a matter of 5 minutes. But I mean, none of them have
What I
played a
think is
game yet, have they?
no, they haven't had their first game. I think though on Friday they had their first game.
Yeah,
And what's nice though is the ones that have gone over there, like you said, like all players that the Devils would want to keep on and like develop. Like Jardine and McNamee are both quite young. I believe they've not long turned around 27, and then
yeah,
obviously like Haddad as well as like had a superb season last year. So like they're all players you'd think that the Devils are going to like be desperate to like take back. And I think, you know, if it's just sort of a placeholder year and Lord's going to look after them and give them the ice time, then I think it's a win-win, really.
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure who'd be back. I think Haddad very likely would be back. I can't
Yeah.
imagine him not wanting to come back. I mean, hopefully he does anyway. And then Jardine end up signing back with us? I think he did. He was definitely involved a lot in videos for us. I remember there was when he.
Yeah, no, I think him and McNamee had. I believe they'd both been announced back. Yeah, they had been. Yeah,
I think both of them. Yeah, so maybe it is those three will come back, and Bryce will probably be the one. If one of them is going to stay, it'd be Bryce.
Stay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching them. There's obviously it's a good competitive league. We've seen Brendan Connolly join the team as well, and
Curtis Leonard as well.
That's the one. I couldn't remember the name then.
I was waiting to mention it.
I know you were waiting. You were trying to catch me up. You're trying to take my spot here. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting watching them. I mean, definitely Joey Haddad last year. I don't think many people agree was one of the best players in the league. And,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think they're really going to. I mean, hopefully they show just how good they are, and that the EIHL is competitive as well, because they're not just representing the Devils; they are representing the league when they go across, and I'm sure all the players who have left as well. But yeah, they haven't really played that much. We can't talk too much in depth about it, other than hopefully they come back. I'm looking now. Sam Duggan is obviously playing in Sweden. He's in the. I guess it's the third division, isn't it? But it's more of a youth league to go into the top two divisions, which are promotion and relegation, which is slightly different. But he's put up some decent numbers. I believe he's playing tonight as well. I don't think it's going too well for them. I think it might be 3-0 or 3-1 in their game. But he's played 15 games, so obviously a lot. I think he's played the most out of any Devils player who's left for the season. He's got 3 goals, 4 assists, so 7 points. A point every 2 games, not bad. I think he got involved in a fight and had a game misconduct as well. I think he's on 25.
What?
Yeah. I haven't got any footage of it or anything. I did see it was Oliver Hampson who tweeted it, and I was like, it's not like Duggan to be getting. I mean, don't get me wrong, he loves to get involved, and he wouldn't back down from anything, but it never really materializes. And I thought going to a youth league in Sweden, it would probably definitely won't happen, but there we go.
Yeah, caught me off that. It's interesting.
Did you know Liam Kirk is in the same league as him now?
Yeah, he's. I think he's in like a different part of the division, though. I don't think
they can't. I don't think they can play each other, can they?
No.
Which is,
it's so nice though to see him representing over in Sweden. It's brilliant, especially obviously they're both quite young.
I mean, Kirk obviously being drafted, and then we've got Sam Duggan playing in the same league. It's obviously players who are on the same trajectory. Is the Extra Liga? I think is the top division in Sweden. I hope that's right. Probably butchered it completely.
No, you got the SHL, isn't it?
Oh, SHL, but sorry, the Extra Liga is the league above. Yeah, the SHL is the top league. Extra Liga is the sort of that is the relegation league from the SHL. They're all trying to get into the top teams there.
And no, the one in between is the Allsvenskan. I can't say
Allsvenskan. Where am I getting Extra Liga from?
I can't remember now, actually. Oh, it's getting like awful for me. I should know this.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, I should know this because I found a podcast on it, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah, Sam Duggan obviously had the interview with Todd. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the players. Still in touch. We've seen Joey Martin's interview as well. You expect Joey and Sam to be back if the league does start back up. I think Joey Martin's contract was for next season as well, wasn't it? I believe they were talking about. There's a lot of concern from Devils fans, especially when Joey Martin was announced to be leaving. And I mean, we can get onto him if you want. He's played 9 games for Stavanger, 4 goals, 4 assists, so 8 points. Pretty good going. I mean, it was a bit of a dodgy start. They're meant to be one of the better teams and found themselves towards the bottom there. I mean, they're shooting up now. Joey Martin had a little bit of an injury, but I'm pretty sure he was getting at least a point a game So even when his team wasn't performing the best, he was still showing just how good he was. And I think he was on first line actually. I think he's obviously coming back from injury. He's been on second line, so I'd expect him to return to the first line fairly soon.
Just note, by the way, the extra league is the Czech league.
Czech league. See,
that was bugging me. I had to just slide that back in.
I had to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, Sam, he needed the minutes, and you could see in the interview just how much. I don't think he wanted to play the most minutes at the best level he could. And I think he's found that with. I'm going to try and. He said Seagletops, wasn't it? that's the best impression I can go for.
I'll leave you say that. I'm not going to try.
It's a weird one. That's the problem with teams going to European, players going to European teams. You have no idea how to say their names. Trying to learn that as well as just how good they're playing there. But I mean, in fairness, I'm looking at all the Devils players. Everyone's representing quite well. I mean, there's a few players been unfortunate with the league start in that they haven't been able to get as many minutes. I know Evan Mosey's league is suspended. I don't think it's been abandoned just yet, but he's only managed to play 4 games. But in those 4 games, a goal, 2 assists. So again, almost a point a game. And
they're all going out there. They're putting up points. They're doing good.
They're all playing really, really well. But he's played in the French league, so.
Well, it goes to show, really, like the Devils, or the league's quality, even across other countries in Europe. Obviously, there's this big thing, especially with a lot of Devils players. Yeah, they have this core that have stayed in Cardiff, for a while, and it's interesting to see that when they have branched out, they've still been performing elsewhere, and it sort of goes to show that the standard of our players across other leagues too. Yeah,
exactly. I think last year especially, we've seen the caliber of players coming up. I mean, Sam Jardine coming in as a player. I mean,
yeah, that was huge.
That's a massive player coming into the league. So obviously, the league's doing something right. The Devils are doing something right, and then for them to go to a different team again and keep performing, I think that's massive. I think that's just going to invite more players once our league starts back up. More players will want to come and play for us, especially with the chopping and changing of teams at the moment. Obviously, players are just sort of they're relying on contacts to get teams. I mean, some players might have got those moves anyway. You've got Fournier moving to Bolzano. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but to me, it felt like obvious that Fournier was going to move on at the end of the year. Is his 3rd season at the Devils now?
No, longer than that.
Or 4th?
I think it was longer. I think that was his 5th, maybe more than that.
Maybe
he was still.
Then.
He joined when we were in the big league then.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, it is longer. Gee, time flies, you know.
I think he only joined, I think it was a year, after, Martin and Haddad joined.
Yeah, so it's been a
he's been there for a while. It was the year before we brought in, Lewis, Ulmer, Benty. It was, the year before them.
During 2016, so, yeah, it was his 4th season then.
Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's a long time. I don't expect it, do you? Fournier, it seems like he just... No, I'm not kidding when, because he was such a massive player. I mean, he's in the IHL All-Stars nominations for defenseman of the year, highest scoring, highest assists. He was amazing for us. So I think eventually a bigger team was going to come along. Bolzano, I'm not sure if they're in the CHL this year, are they?
I'm not sure. Obviously, CHL isn't going ahead, but...
yeah, it isn't going ahead, but did they make it or not? They are a CHL caliber team.
Definitely, they're brilliant.
Bolzano, is that the team McMonagle came from, or has played for before? Bolzano, I'm not too sure.
Oh, I know.
Too clued up.
Well, I think one of our guys played there. I'm not sure who.
I'll have a little look.
You're hitting me with this trivia that I should know, and it's bugging me.
Bolzano, yes, yes, he has played there in 2015-16. McMonagle was there.
Okay.
So there's lots of little connections we can make. Obviously, I'm not sure. Was Ben the first player to leave? Ben Bounds?
No, we had players retire before that.
Players retire. I'm trying to think of players leave.
In terms of a player signing elsewhere,
I think it was Ben. I think Ben might.
Pretty sure it was Ben. Yeah.
He was. It was. I mean, it was the talk. It felt like the season got cut off, and it was Ben Barnes is going to leave. Ben Barnes is going to leave for
It was
the
waiting for it to happen,
next
really.
couple of weeks. I think everyone was. I don't know. People like me. I think I love the fact that he gets to go and play elsewhere. But at the same time, you want him in your team, don't you? There's nobody else you want in your team. But Graz, unfortunately, had an injury, hasn't he? So he's only managed to get three games in, 0.91 save percentage. So played well in the 3 games.
Yeah, he did good.
But,
It's sad because obviously they're saying now that he's probably going to be out for the season.
Yeah, so
And it's dreadful because you can think how hard he's worked for this opportunity. And obviously there was rumours like last
yeah, so
year it comes along like a solid deal to go to Graz. Like you can't go wrong.
no,
And
exactly. We played
like
them as well. So
only 3 games in.
they
Like
must have seen something when we played. Well, I mean, they probably did. The penalties were mad enough when we played.
It was insane.
Yeah, but Ben, hopefully, he's back before the end of the season, so he has a little bit of time at the end to show that he is capable of playing at that level. I mean, 3 games, he's done all right there. Probably needs a couple more just at the end of the season, doesn't he?
Yeah, just to round it off a little bit. And you'd hope so, just to get him back on track, really. Just
exactly.
Even if he's putting up even if he's coming in as sort of as like a backup, putting in minutes towards the end of the game, just to get him back into the rhythm of it, really, because
I
it's
think
going to
the
be
most
tough.
important thing is staying at Graz or moving to another European team of a similar standard. Obviously, I don't think Graz would give up so soon on a player having played 3 games, played well, and then injured. There's nothing the player can do there.
Yeah, it's sad to see.
Yeah, he's worked so hard. Obviously, in the international competitions, did so well, and then sort of just taken away so quickly is you're gutted. But I guess with a changing climate, there is a somewhat likelihood that there's going to be extensions because games won't be played or won't be able to be played. So there is a chance, I guess, he's back in time.
Yeah.
I just keep getting notifications on my phone with Sam Duggan's team. They're 4-1 down. They're not having the best of times. He hasn't gotten the points yet, but I'm trying to think who have we missed out so far. We've got Mark Richardson.
Mark Richardson, I haven't kept much of the tabs of Mark Richardson. I haven't really been following his team much, which I should be. But I mean, by the looks of his points, it's 6 games, 5 assists. He's doing his job.
D as well. They're pretty much probably our best defenseman. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
We have a lot of two-way defenders or just outright offensive D-men like Sean McMonagle was. Just McMonagle great at defense as well, but going forward, it was like having 4 forwards. It was amazing. But yeah, Mark Richardson, obviously, I'd say known for his defense, but 5 assists, doing really well. I think he'd be one definitely to return. I think how many seasons? 10, 11? It's got to be close to that now, haven't it?
Where is his testimonial season? Like 1 or 2 years ago?
1, 2. So yeah, probably 11th season, and this would have been his 12th. So absolutely mental now. But so obviously he'd be hopefully coming back. And another defenseman we haven't talked about, Mark Lewis. I mean, I think people who don't even watch hockey have seen the clip of him in his fight in one of his first games. It was mental. I couldn't believe it first.
I've watched it so many times on repeat.
It comes up so often on my timeline. It's like
it was lethal. The thing is, I've seen it being shared from everywhere. I think it was I've seen it from hockey podcasts and like pages from literally all over the world. Like people from America, people from Europe. Everyone was talking about it because it was literally just that one punch. Like the ref gets out of the way.
The ref doesn't help the other player at all though by getting in his way.
He completely gets in his way.
Lou takes the punch. It was quite poor from the ref, but I mean, Mark Lewis, regardless if the ref's in the way or not, that punch is still going away from Mark Lewis.
That was going in. You can't stop it. You've seen it from him in the past. Like what I think it was with Fitzgerald before, one punch done.
Did he claim he slipped?
Yeah, I think Fitzy tried to say something about it, but I think they then tried to fight a game after, and I think Lou won again.
I mean, Lewis had a lot of fights last year, didn't he?
Well, the best was we had the back-to-back fights with Matt Pellett.
Yeah, I remember that now. That was straight out the box, wasn't it? They both
So,
came out.
some of those moments in those fights were brilliant. Like some of the
Yeah.
behavior from Lou. I remember at one point they're sort of skating around each other, but like Pelech like steps back a sec. Luke brings his hands up and like calls him forward. And I was like, oh, just class.
Oh, you're making me miss hockey even more now.
But it was one of my favorite moments with Lou before when he was in a fight. He was having a fight with Lyndon Springer, and
Yeah.
Lyndon Springer's like helmet falls off, and Lou, just being the absolute like gentleman that he is, just steps back, pulls his helmet off, and then
Yeah.
engages for the fight. Like he could have taken like the advantage straight in, thought like keeping his helmet on, but like he was like nah, he dropped the helmet straight away and like went straight into it, and you just love to see it.
He's definitely a fan favorite. You see it all the time. Mike Lewis. I'm following a lot of Devils fans on the Down the Bay account, and it's packed full of Mike Lewis fans. That's probably why it's on my timeline so often. People coming
Genuine.
on Twitter every so often and seeing that, retweeting it. It's there pretty much every day. Can't escape it. It's genuinely incredible. I don't think people give him enough credit for how good he is defensively, actually, as well. He's playing well. I think I'm not sure if he signed a proper contract now, but he was on a trial contract with I don't know how you're going to say his. They need to do an interview with all the players quickly on how to pronounce their team name. Mikalovci.
Yeah, again, I'm leaving you up to that
We'll
one.
go with that. Someone let me know if you know how to pronounce it. But I think he was on a trial at first. I think he's actually signed till the end of the season now. So he's obviously
Well, it
impressed
seems
them
like
enough.
he's put up 12 games already, so
Yeah, he's definitely performing well. I'm not sure. I think it's Fournier's league. I think Fournier's league has just started back up, hasn't it? Again.
I believe so.
I think that got suspended for 2 weeks. I think because the team basically, well, they wouldn't have been able to play their games. I think we're done now with players, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's all the players that have signed elsewhere. We've got a few that have been left hanging, and we've got a couple that have moved on, and retired.
A lot of the players left are the most interesting ones. They're the ones where you expect where you didn't know which way it's going to go, and somehow we're in December and we still don't know whether they're going to retire, move to a different team, and not come back, move on loan for a year, or just miss a year out altogether. So you got should we start? I'm going to start with Dixon because I think Dixon was one that I expected to instantly find a team. And
he signed back first off.
Yes.
And then since we haven't had a league, he's just sort of been doing his own thing. I've been following him on Instagram, and it seems like he's just out having time with his life.
He's just living life.
He's loving it. So I imagine I think when he signed back, it was going to be the longest stint that he'd played at any club in his career, or like since he left like North America. He'd been he's used to move around a lot, and this would have been his longest stint at one club.
Yeah.
So he clearly enjoys it here, and there's no doubt that he's a fan favorite. Like everything about him, he puts up points. He's obviously puts the body on the line. Like he's an absolutely superb player, and I think that's come through with the awards every year. Like I think he's pretty much had something every year. And I think he's definitely one that would want to come back. And I think maybe if he's at that point where he's thinking, oh, well, I can afford to wait out a year and then maybe come back. Like, so I'm hoping
risk there, isn't it? Waiting a year without
hockey.
Yeah,
it's tough, and you'd obviously hope that should anything should nothing go ahead, that like he does find somewhere. But at the same time, if he's not interested and he is on that thing where he's like, oh, I'll come back or I'll hang up the skates, then you just got to wait and find out, I guess. But I think all the Devils fans are going to be fingers crossed that he makes a return.
Hopefully. I mean, he's back in Canada, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back at his home.
Yeah, I thought so. I guess maybe he's holding out for maybe there's a few options he's got and he's trying to get the best one possible. I mean, we've seen Sam Duggan in his interview said he had a couple of offers.
Yeah, I think there's no way that he didn't get any.
Stephen Dixon doesn't get an offer on the table. I mean,
you look at his experience in the past, like he's
played well before he came to us anyway. So he must have. He's an experienced player as well, so he must have good contacts as well. I don't know. Baffles me. As Stephen Dixon is out.
I reckon he's holding out, or at least I'm hoping so.
Yeah, hopefully. In fairness, they haven't said they only said to the players, that it's looking unlikely we'll play.
Yeah.
And then if you see a few players go who, I mean, a lot of them have left recently, really, haven't they? You haven't seen many. There's only 3 of our guys who played over 10 games, so
Yeah.
they haven't been gone too long. We've got Lingley. What do you think on that situation? Do you think he's waiting for a club, retiring,
Well,
just going to sit out a
li-
year?
see, I absolutely love Lingley.
I think
I think
everyone
he,
does.
I think he's absolutely superb. And I suppose he's like at the age where he very much could retire. Should he want to go into taking up like a different role, maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
I think he's at that age where it genuinely could go either way, and I think that's why we haven't heard anything because there was. No, I don't think he'd. I think what's with these next couple of players now is none of them had been announced to sign back, and they also haven't been announced anywhere else. So it's sort of up in the air because they haven't retired either, or at least publicly. Like there's not been anything said, and like I think it's one of those ones. Like out of the 3 that are in this sort of same boat they're about to get into, he's definitely the one that I would want back the most.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I would take all 3, but I'd understand if the other 2 that we're going to mention didn't come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think the other 2 suits Lordo's how Lordo sort of played it. We always had a big guy and the slightly smaller but more attacking defenseman. And I feel like that obviously we're going through a period of change. So with the new manager, new coach Scaldi, probably a lot of players won't come back. I mean, we're talking, these players they might want to come back. He might want different players to come in altogether. So
this is the thing. I'm fully expecting like when Lordo had gone, and it was obviously we were going to go through a bit of change. I was fully expecting us to drop a fair few figures. Obviously, I know we like to keep our core, and that's just sort of how we stand, I guess, with or without Lordo.
yeah.
But I was thinking, like new coach coming in, like they've got to have like that sort of say in a way. Like they've got to if they can't sort of like synergize with what's actually happening on the ice, then it's not really going to work. Like this, like
Exactly.
Scaldi coming in is going to have to have a say.
Yeah, he's going to have his own opinion on players who he wants to keep, who he doesn't want to keep.
I think
it's inevitable.
Well, especially with everything that's going on. Like I think I'm like it genuinely could go either way with a lot of players that you don't know who is going to come back. Obviously, you look at how we like performed last season, you think, I'd have all of them back. But then, we're going through, there's a lot of change, players getting new opportunities, like left, right, and centre. We're bringing in a new coach. Like, it genuinely, like, our team could be very, very similar to what we used to, or it could be completely different. And I think it's very much
all up in the air, isn't it? It's really all up in the air. Wow, we've got, we'll move on to a similar player like Lingley, Masi Mayamaki. Similar, I think.
Lingley certainly didn't have the same introduction Mariamaki had.
No,
20 seconds.
You know what the friendly we played against? I forgot who we played against now. With a big hit against the boards. 20 seconds.
Genuinely, it was within the first 15 seconds of the preseason being started, and I was like, "Oh, get these new players out."
Everyone was in their seats, were they?
Genuinely, it was like I was not expected in the slightest. Then all of a sudden,
everyone was just sat there, and usually with a big hit, he gets the crowd going. I think everyone was just in shock. You come in, everyone was like, "Oh, it's only a friendly. It'd be some nice playing hockey, and we'll see a bit more sort of CHL hockey rather than Elite League, where it's pumped into the corners, fight hard for the puck." I was expecting to see a lot of passing, get some nice shots off, and it was 20 seconds in. Mikey arrived, I guess.
he came in, he absolutely laid someone out like within seconds of the puck drop in, like first game, and I was like, right, okay, this is big. But then like straight away, one of their players just slid in from the side, and I basically checked into the head. And I was like, I remember just going nuts because I was like, brand new player, like obviously coming in, I think everyone had quite big expectations from him. Like, he was quite like this big player, and you've seen the clips, like he hits like an absolute train. He comes in, lays a massive hit, and I think I obviously no one knew what was happening, but I was like excited straight away. And as soon as this other player from like the other team comes in and just whacks him, I was absolutely distraught. I thought, no way are you going to injure our like sparkling new player this quick.
straight away. I remember. Well, they did the announcement, didn't they? The signing announcement of where they did like the sort of Q&A with them. It was who was it? Riley, Mayamaki, McMonagle, and McNamee. It was those four, wasn't it? And it was Blair Riley, confident. Obviously, probably it's very similar to what it would have been like in Belfast. McMonagle and McNamee were quiet, probably shy. I mean, they're in a new country with loads of people who already love them after not seeing them on the ice. And then Mayamaki comes in, is the most confident man in the room, doesn't know anybody there. I think even from that point there, I was like, he's gonna love it here. You could tell as well where he fed off the crowd.
Yeah, well, I have a brilliant story from one of those first few games he was there. So, the game had finished. Up in the bar afterwards, and like sort of like by like the door through to like the actual rink. And all of a sudden, Mayamaki comes up. And he's like a couple games in, and he's like, all suited up, like strutting through on his way into the bar. And my dad said to him, "Oh, looks like you're becoming a bit of a fan favorite here." And he like slicked his hair back and was like, "Yep, seems like it." And he just carried on walking. I was like, "What?"
Definitely likable, very funny. I think,
that's just stuck for me. That was just always funny.
I think, I hope he loved the crowd as well, because I think definitely, Block 13 came along, had his own chant. It was, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure the age difference now between Lingley and Mayamaki. I'm not sure who's older.
Yeah, Lingley's older.
Lingley, I was going to say, I imagine Lingley's older, but I think Mayamaki would be more likely to retire. I don't know why. I just sort of.
Well, it was going around a fair bit. Like, as soon as the season ended, that he's retiring, but like,
yeah,
he's not old by any means. I'm just about to double check
it out.
He's definitely got some more. He's 35.
Yeah, I mean, we've signed players older.
Or I think Lingley is 38. Just double check there.
Yeah, it's all right.
He's 38. Like, so there's definitely more years he could play, but I suppose at the same time, like, you get to like 35 if he does want to move on to new things. Like, you wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, I mean, again, 37-year-old. The only player left now who hasn't retired or found a club is Sean Morrison. And he's 37 as well. NHL experience. I thought it took. I was gonna say it took a while for him to settle in. I thought the initial 2-3 games he played, he was really good. Then it looked like he definitely struggled to. It was almost like he was playing a different game of hockey to his standard, and I think he had to drop his standards to make it better for the team. He was trying too ambitious things for the team.
Yeah, well, I think you certainly noticed it when, I think when he sort of got over that, he was making everyone around him look a lot better. Like Jardine,
the running to the end of the season, he was for me one of the best players we had. He was incredible. Him and Jardine together were incredible. But
you couldn't fault him at all.
No, exactly. I mean, would he come back? I mean, joined late, season gets cut early.
Yeah.
Would he come back? I don't know. I don't see it happening personally.
Again, it's one of those things. I reckon he would have a team. I don't see him with his experience and also just his quality in general. I don't see him just going without a team unless he's sort of decided to take a step back and sort of wait it out. Then if he comes back, it's obviously a different matter. I wasn't expecting him to come back. In all honesty, I'll happily take him back, and I think especially.
I think that's what most fans are like. Most fans I don't think he'll come back, but I'd love him to.
Yeah, I think with what's going on, I'll have anyone back. I think just getting a bit of a team built back up will be brilliant because obviously we've got basically no one that's actually committed to us now for whenever. Yeah. If we do start this year, which I'm guessing we'll get into that. But I don't know.
It's tricky. All four of those I think could be back. Will all 4 of them be back? Probably not. It's
The thing is, you could see it as in terms of they're all old. I think Dixon as well is like 36.
Yeah, Dixon's not a spring chicken anymore.
But like, I think it's like they're probably all at the point where they're like, take a year out, have some fun, just get back in shape to get back into it. Like, like it's I don't know, it's tough to say really because they genuinely, I feel like all of them could go either way.
It must be difficult as well because I imagine some of them would have been thinking, let me get to the end of the season, see how I feel,
Yeah.
see if I can play another year. And for it to be cut so abruptly, they don't get that opportunity. So maybe that's why we're seeing the older part of the team are the ones without teams at the moment because maybe they're just not prepared to move again. Maybe they want to settle in Cardiff, and they just wait. They're happy to wait till the season starts up.
Well, I think this is what you saw a little bit with Matt Pope, in terms of it very much was he was sort of planning it like to go through the whole season and then he was going to call it quits. And like he was saying, I think it was in his statement, he was saying how his whole family flew down because he had a feeling it was going to be the end. Then when it got cut short, he was like, well, do I carry on? Like, do I really want to end my career like that?
Yeah.
And then I think it got to the point where he thought, I'll just bite the bullet, and he's gone off and he's treated himself to a BMW and a Rolex. And seeing it on his Instagram, good for him. Like he's clearly like enjoying it. But I think it's probably the same situation with the other guys where they're thinking. That's the thing as well. A lot of these players, as the one thing with Cardiff we said about in the past, a lot of players come in. We have some really good players come in that have never won anything because we've got a real good winning record. And I think some of these players, they were thinking, might go through like win something at the end and see how we go. And obviously we were on track for the league. That's an argument I'm not going to get into.
I made my post on that. That took me a long while on how the league should have ended. I made predictions from a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was like 70% right or 8. No, I think 70% right on the predictions. So I made the predictions 70% right as well, and I think we still would have come out on top. Took me a while to do this, a lot of maths involved for a summer holiday. But yeah.
I just think they must have just all been waiting, just thinking, I'll see, win something at the end, see where we are.
I mean, every year we go for every competition. No, any competition we're in, you aim to win. You don't go into it going, oh, well, I hope we make it through this amount. We finish on this point. You go in to win at the end of the day. And I think you probably have a lot higher of a chance of winning something in our league if you join one of the top teams.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you look back, and a lot of it has been sort of recurring teams, and it's like you're looking at the same few contenders. And but the nice thing as well with our league, which goes in favour for all the other teams, is there's only 10 teams. Like anyone can have their moment and like really shine.
Yeah, exactly.
And like so you're seeing that with you're still getting like top quality players come in at like some of the teams that haven't necessarily contended for a league title for a while, but they're still putting together really good teams.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I had to pick a team like that, I'd be talking about Guildford, I imagine, is what you're on about. Sort of. Some games, they turn up and they know exactly how to play and they execute it perfectly. It doesn't carry on for the whole season, and I think that's why they sort of float in and around that fifth, sixth spot, or maybe fourth as well. But on some games I've seen them play, they've looked incredible. It's consistency with them and whether they can keep up the entire year. We see it with Belfast, obviously. They play a lot of their away games together to save money, and they struggle because it's away. But then when they head home, they shoot back up the table again. So I think that's what makes it interesting as well, having teams in Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
that adds something as well, definitely. Should we move on to, I guess, the last little bit now with these players?
Yeah, we got
a couple of players. I mean, we've already mentioned Matt Pope. We've mentioned his spending. He retired. Was he first, second?
So who else we got? Sorry, what?
I don't know what happened there. There was a weird noise coming through. Blair Riley. Was he I don't know what his role is. I've seen he's been tweeting about it.
He, I, I remember I looked into it when he moved.
Yeah.
He's I can't remember. Not I'm really putting myself to shame here because I really I knew all this and I'm put on the spot now and it's bugging me.
It's tricky, isn't it? When I hit record, I was like, I've forgotten everything.
I feel like it was some sort of like event planner, kind of like director kind of thing. Maybe not event planning, but like he was going to an agency of some sort.
Yeah, it's an agency. So again, like he hasn't stayed in hockey, and I thought maybe he would have been someone to stay in hockey. There was a lot of talk of him being a potential assistant, wasn't it? Assistant coach.
Yeah, like a player assistant. I remember that.
I think a lot of people would have been a fan of that. I mean, definitely had the passion for it, didn't he? He'd be screaming at the players who weren't pulling their weight. We seen
Well, that's the
Benty
thing.
retire.
Yeah, but yeah, Benty was the first
Benty was the
announcement.
first. I think that was an obvious one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was sort of people sort of waiting for it.
It was the right time. I think.
Yeah, I
He's
think
such
so.
a good player for us.
I think it's sad to see because I think there was a significant drop off in his point production this year.
Yeah, I think he noticed it as well. He definitely seemed under pressure. There was that what game was it where he scored and it got disallowed anyway. I remember watching it back, and at that moment I felt like that must destroy his confidence.
Genuinely,
because even when he does something perfect, he did it. He scored a goal and it didn't count.
Yeah,
you have to start to wonder when it's going to change around, and if in his head he'd planned to retire at the end of the season, he probably just panicking that it's not going to turn around before the end of the season. I think it definitely did, though. He definitely you could see it turn around slightly towards the end. He was putting up a bit more numbers, definitely getting involved a lot more. But I think he moved around on lines as well.
The thing is, like, there was absolutely nothing with this play. I never watched him play and thought he's looking bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I think obviously it just comes
numbers.
through whether he wasn't focusing on himself. But yeah, like you look at it and it's sad. But then I think you can never go off just numbers. You look at it like Mark Lewis. Like how many points Mark Lewis put up?
Mark Lewis, and I don't think many people would touch him. You look at him, it's like loads of penalty minutes, not many goals, not many assists. Oh, not fit. But then you actually watch Mark Lewis defend. He's really good.
So I think it's tough. It's tough to say. Like obviously with Benty, he wasn't putting up the numbers, but I think it's definitely it's going to have an impact on his confidence. And if he's on that think of is it time to hang up the skates, and he's looking back and thinking, didn't put up as many points as before because he's put up some brilliant numbers for us in the past.
Yeah.
And you just got to think, with everything going on, like the uncertainty, he's got 3 little kids, like. He's got to be thinking, it's probably going to be a tough decision for him to make. And to be fair, you've seen it. I'm seeing him on Instagram all the time. It seems like he's out having a lovely time. So it's nice to see he's moved on. He's sort of he's looking after himself. He's doing good.
It is hard, isn't it? It's like some players you just wish would never retire. Like you just keep playing, but eventually you have to, don't they? Which is, that's the worst one. I mean, there is a player who's, I'm not sure, can you call it retired? He's not going to be playing because he's our new equipment manager. Obviously, talk about Tom Murdy. So he's still involved with the club. Didn't get too many minutes last year.
No,
one game in the league. One game in the league that he started. I know he played did he play against Coventry for 12 seconds?
It was something ridiculous. He came on
something ridiculous like that, which I'm not going to count. And then he started. I think he started the other game against Coventry, didn't he? He started one, and then in the second game he started Ben till the 59th minute, and then decided Murdy can have a minute when we were. I think we lost 3-1 or something, didn't
we? Yeah. Every time I've seen him play, he's always looked solid, but I think it's just one of those things that. If he's not going to get the ice time, and obviously he's clearly got a passion with his being the equipment manager, and that's something he's been doing on the side anyway. If he's thinking, I might as well dedicate my full time to that, and if he wants to stay with the Devils and it's in the Devils' best interests to look for a new backup netminder, then it's a win-win for both him and the Devils, and they can both sort of develop where they want to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously Ben, I don't think will be back next year. And Murdy leaving, that's 2 free slots open instantly. And you've got the new rule coming in where you have, well, if you want to play 4-line hockey, you've got to have 325s. I think a goalie would be a great slot to put in alongside a European goalie. We were talking about this a little bit just before, weren't we? With the goalies.
So you completely cut out for me then. Sorry,
sorry. I was just saying, like, with Ben leaving and Murdy as well, that's 2 free slots open.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the new rule under 25s, a goalie is probably the perfect position. A British under 25 goalie alongside a European goalie. I think it works really nice.
Well, this is something that I've obviously looked at a ton, and I love a good conspiracy, and I like to have a little look around to see, you know, who might we get. And I think there was obviously, with obviously keeping our numbers up for the Brits, it was quite a common rumor that we were going to get Ben Davis coming in, which was essentially going to make up for the loss of Brit with Ben Bounds.
Ben Bounds, yeah.
And whether I'm looking into it too much or not, it seemed like that sort of got announced with the Swindon series.
It's a weird one, isn't it? It seems like they're saying he signed.
Yeah. They said, we've picked up players from the Devils with Ben Davis.
Had players ready to sign.
Yeah.
Which to me means they would have been playing in the Elite League, because I can't imagine them having players outside of the Elite League ready to sign, because it was uncertain.
Well, yeah, this is what happened in one of Todd's interviews. He said about players, and he said that to be fair, I think he said that there was like 3 new guys that he had signed.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3.
And out of that, it was one of them he said was the backup netminder, which is where Murdy was announced as equipment manager. The other one was assumed to be Ben Davis, meaning there might have been one import that we had ready to bring in. But whether that's someone from our league or...
Yeah, I think it's an import, but I think it's an import playing in the league.
I reckon it could have been one of the guys that went over to Greenville. I think it could have been Curtis Leonard. Brendan Connolly, maybe. I think Brendan Connolly went back to Greenville, though, because I believe he used to play there.
Does Brendan Connolly count as a Brit?
No, I believe he's an import.
Yeah, same as Mosey, isn't it? Even though he plays for the even though he plays for GB, he's not registered as a Brit, which baffle him.
Yeah,
but
it's strange, but so it was sort of it was assumed with the Brits that we were going to Ben Davis, and then my personal vote for who we were going to bring in as backup was McLaughlin from I want to say Clan. That's gave me last second. I believe it was from Glasgow. Yeah, he was the backup for Glasgow behind Colleen. Okay. But from what I looked up, and I think I believe Todd said that obviously he'd signed the backup, and you'd guess with our numbers that at least he would have to be a Brit. And I was looking around. There's not too many options. You have Jackson Whistle, you have McLaughlin, and on paper I think McLaughlin's better, and he's a bit younger. So
yeah, I mean, now that the season's, I mean, to be honest, we could have recorded about 100 podcasts, me and you talking to each other about goalies every day. We're like, could get this guy in as goalie, could get this guy in as goalie. We could have done this a million times over. But I remember at the end of last year, I would have loved to have got Jackson Whistle in. He's probably the most experienced under 25 British goalie we could have had. Obviously, McLaughlin, now as you're mentioning, probably rivals that.
No, I'm going to stand my ground. I'd rather McLaughlin. He's younger. You'll stay in that under 25 category for a little bit longer.
I don't think Whistle counts anymore, unless they change the dates due to it being postponed. You know.
Yeah, I think this would have been the last year for him to count as number.
But I think that's a good thing. I think if you give, how old is McLaughlin?
I want to say no older than 23.
And then Whistle was. I think he literally made it in by like a week. the cut-off date, like he was 25 on the dot, as it was announced the rules.
Oh, never mind. Jordan McLaughlin is 20.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But do you think that's too young? Like
he's 20, but then he put up 9 games for Glasgow last season.
I mean, they did have a crisis, which is why he was in there.
Still though, I think if you're looking for a Brit, like if you're looking for a goalie, you have Jackson Whistle, obviously McLaughlin. I'm not sure if there's anyone else I'm missing out. Obviously, you have options like Tyler Perry, Lauday, but
There's probably
it's kind of
loads
like
of
you're
options. I
someone
remember
new.
looking through them all. There's a lot of there's a lot. I tell you, teams who probably will do quite well off the back of that rule is the Scottish teams. Dundee have a lot of good under 25 Brits
Yeah.
that they were already playing. So it's I think we'll struggle. Obviously, we have Duggan. Do we get anyone else on the team?
What do you mean?
Do we have any under 25s already?
Oh well,
Is
it would.
it just Duggan?
Rutkiss.
If Rutkiss was to play,
Yeah, Rutkiss.
and then you have a
Duggan.
goalie.
Yeah, because
that would be 3. Then you'd be able to play 4 line with the backup goalie then.
Yeah, because Murdy is 29.
Yeah, but he's not playing anyway.
Well, no, but I'm thinking like from last year. So
no.
Yeah, so yes,
no.
it would just be them.
Yeah, and I don't think would we play Rutkiss consistently for 4-line hockey.
I'd see us picking up a Brit netminder, like a young Brit netminder instead.
Yeah, well, I think you
still
have to get
think
forward in as well. Even if you get that goaltender, you only get Duggan and a goaltender.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, well, I guess you'd have Rutkiss too, and then it's if we have another backup with like Tyler Perry, Lauday. There's ways to make up the numbers.
Yeah, Lauday. I'm not sure if Lauday's still with us.
I don't think he is, because it was when they announced
Rutkiss, it was 2-way.
Rutkiss, yeah, they said it was 2-way, but then with
Lauday, it was straight.
They got announced. They just said he's playing for MK.
I like Jordan Lauday. I do like him. I know he did really well last year, didn't he? I saw he was in the top 5%. Top 5 goalies in terms of like save percentage in the
what for the NHL?
Yeah.
I don't think he ever iced for us. I think he was only ever on the bench.
Yeah, but he played really well for MK.
Well, yeah, even the streaming series, he did solid.
Well, did they finish second in the end, MK? Or did they win it?
I want to say MK won.
I'm getting really confused now. That's the problem, No hockey to loads of hockey. It's tricky.
That's the thing. I've been going off, like I've not really been talking to like pretty much anyone about hockey for a while, because there's not much going on. There's not really much to say, and now all of a sudden I'm backtracking back all the way to last season.
We're going months back trying to remember off the top of our heads.
Oh mate, I'm losing it.
And then, have we missed anything?
Well, I mean, in general, there's now the whole idea of the return.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
So I've tried my best to research this and read through it as many times as possible, because I'm very, very optimistic, and I'm in the Block 13 group chat for the Devils, and everyone says to me Joe, you're awfully optimistic about all this coming back, and I'm just hopeful for getting some help. But so what it seems like is, I may be wrong, but it seems like Sport England offered up this 4 million loan/grant, however it works out, which I think is yet to be decided. But it seems like it's dependent that we play. And obviously I say we, it's exclusively for teams in England, but they basically, if they play, they are welcome to this money, essentially, is how it seems like it comes across. Because but then there was the interview with the Panthers.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was, he said that Cardiff were also in the run-in. So I'm not sure if we've got funding sorted with the government, on hold, or if maybe the owners are trying to sort something out.
I think they're trying to get similar, aren't they? But it's you've obviously got to get that for Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales all separately.
Yeah. Well, what it seems like from the interviews, what I can gather, is that they're hoping for, at the minimum, you're going to have the 5 English teams in Cardiff. And I think in terms of getting the teams from like, up north, it's a bit more in the air. Is it
a bit trickier, isn't it?
Is it sort of viable? And because that's what they were saying as well, obviously, for travel purposes, like in the interview was saying how, Cardiff's just so close to all the other teams. So then if everyone's got to pay for like your transport, like, like constantly up and down, like it's going to take a big chunk out of whatever money they do bring in. But then there's quite a lot to it, because obviously now what came out, I believe it was yesterday, from like Ice Hockey England, I can't remember the specific name, of like the English Ice Hockey Association.
Yeah.
They were saying that there is now, like, the government have said that elite athletes can, like, they can open rinks in tier 3 for elite athletes, which basically means that in England, it seems like pretty much across the board, you'll be able to have elite hockey, which I suppose now works in conjunction to this whole, if you can play, you can have the money. So it seems like things are coming back together for what I think they said a January/February start for a 12-week season, which brings you right up to the World Championships.
Yeah.
And the idea of it is, if you get, they want to basically have all the Brits from the league before play. And obviously, if there's going to be half as many teams, or 6 out of 10, every team is basically going to be doubling up on Brits.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, really, to see. Or like, there's some top quality Brits, as you're saying, like from teams like up in Belfast, in like Dundee and Fife, like Glasgow. And if they're all going to be, if they're trying to retain all of those in the league, like, we could be seeing some like a lot more like quality Brits coming in, like into Cardiff and going forward.
A good chance, like you're saying. We don't know who. Well, I think it would be kind of a weird move not to have the under-25 as a goalie, as your backup goalie.
Yeah,
it seems like that's pretty much like they want you to have the goalie, a D, and a forward.
Yeah,
like that's just like the logical process. So it would seem weird for like if the teams didn't have that, like if each team didn't just have an under-25 goalie.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like,
there's only
6 teams. There's only 6 teams. If it is just the English and Welsh, go ahead and play it. You're talking 6 goalies, maybe 7 if Whistle gets the start.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Obviously, like, I think they're also still trying to very much figure out what the format would be, like how many imports you're going to have, like finding space like for all these Brits, and and actually figuring out what we've got left and what players will come back, and I think the most important part of it really is just thinking, it's at least at the point where things are actually starting to get into place. I think for a long time it's been sort of, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Like, are we going to start? Are we not? Because then there was I think it was 8 years ago, I think there was the whole, like, it was like the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, but it was Seat Out to help out, and it was going to be like, to try and help theatre. Completely didn't benefit us from the seams of it, but I think now with this, like with the mix of this grant and the government basically giving the go ahead for elite athletes, then it looks like it's starting to make back up. But from what it seems like, there'd be no fans in the arenas, and so I'm guessing the money would essentially be making up for having fans in the arenas. But then costs are going to be cut down. There's less imports coming in, less visas.
I imagine a lot of it is to do with the money that they've lost up until this point, rather than what's going on ahead. It's rather just to keep clubs alive now, as opposed to.
I mean, that's the thing. I think there's like this big argument when people are saying, like, so save up the money and use it next season. But I think it is subjective that we they have to put out hockey.
Yeah.
And it's like that.
That is part of the deal, isn't it? With that grant that they have to pay. They have to play. Sorry.
They have to play. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's similar to the other ones, isn't it? They don't. It's like an unlock, isn't it? Like you have to unlock the grant base.
Like there's a catch to it. They've got to play. Then obviously it's in terms of like for our benefit anyway. I suppose I don't really know exactly what situation Cardiff are in terms of with their finance, because obviously they've come forward and said, obviously not Cardiff directly, but like amongst the league, it's come forward and said, Cardiff are looking to take part. But then obviously,
we must be better off if we're able to, if we are looking to compete in it.
Well, I guess
otherwise, if the Scottish teams would be as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we have the benefit of we don't pay rent for the rink. However that works about. Obviously, I don't know the specifics, but we, like, Ice Arena Wales is our rink. So I'm guessing a part of that comes into it. But whether it's the owners or whether, we're sorting something out with the Welsh government, then, there must be something there for them to come forward and say Cardiff are looking to participate. There must be something, like, sort of in place, like, kind of.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Definitely something. Otherwise, we wouldn't really even get a mention. We'd just be, because it's literally been, all the English teams do it and Cardiff, and then they sort of go, the others aren't doing it. We would just be with the others, as they've called them in the in the articles. But there's obviously something going ahead that nobody knows about. Well, some people know about, obviously, but I don't know.
I'm hopeful. I'm always going to be optimistic. Whether we come back, play for a week, and then it all shuts down, I'm going to be happy.
It's a week
I had a solid week of hockey.
It's a week we wouldn't have had, definitely.
I think it's because what they're saying, they'll basically bubble like the whole league, like in their like respective places, and they're pretty much going to be completely confined to like their like extreme vicinities of the rink. Which obviously, like, I'm not sure, like that's in terms of bringing players in, obviously gauging how much they have to lock themselves up. But I suppose with the current climate, leagues all over like Europe are like getting shut down. They might be happy for a job.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, and I think obviously it's going to be strange. Like it's going to be a very different team. There's going to be like obviously like a lot more Brits on each team. Most of the imports of the league have signed elsewhere. So then, if depending on how many we bring back, are we going to have mostly new imports? Like, I think it's going to be a lot of change, and I think I think a lot of Devils fans, especially, might like struggle to deal with that because they're so used to this core, and all of a sudden it's going to be completely different. We're going to have a new cycle of Brits, like potentially imports, a new coach. Like, I think it's going to be a lot of change coming up, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out and to see like what. If there is any, what our finished product is going to look like.
It's just sort of like a factory reset, isn't it? We literally have the ability now to where we could say, here's, was it 20 slots, 21 slots, 13 available, fill it. And he can choose from whoever. He doesn't have to bring anyone back. I think the only player that I'm confident has a contract, and that contract isn't even final, is Joey Martin. Like, he's signed to play that year, but whether that goes ahead is different again. So he literally has as many spaces as he wants to fill.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's exciting for me anyway.
Yeah, I think in terms of, like, just as a pure, like, from a fan standpoint, like, it's sad to see all these players, like, to see players go, but at the same time, when new players start signing, that there's a lot of excitement, you sort of have to let go.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think we appreciate how lucky we were to keep players around for so long.
Genuinely, it's one of those things that I think a lot of people have sort of not. I don't want to say taken for granted, but people have very much come accustomed to it.
I mean, I'd admit, like we expect the same players to come back. Like, well, I was talking about it earlier. Joey Haddad, Joey Martin. I sort of expect them to come back anyway, but there's no guarantee that they will.
Well, yeah, it was like I look like. So at the end of last season, I looked through and I think, right, realistically, who are we going to lose? Who do we want to keep? Because of just what we've been used to, that margin is just getting smaller and smaller to the point that you're just thinking, all of them, I'll have them back. And we'll make up the numbers if someone retires. And I think just a lot of people get into that swing of thinking, we've very much gotten used to any players that we want to keep, we just keep them. Like, it's quite rare that we've actually lost a player that has been one of our top players. We've always been able to like keep the best and like
I mean, the most recent that I can think of is Ben Blood.
Yeah, Ben Blood, like you look at it, like he's probably one of the standout ones, and like
I mean, apart from that, there's no one really you go, oh, we lost him because he was too good.
Yeah, like it's a rare circumstance, like especially like for Devils anyway. And I think it's one of those things that people have very much gotten like very much used to it. And then you look at like a team, like then we have a team that's brilliant, like gels together perfectly, and you think, you know what, I don't want to lose any of them, and you just expect all of them to come back. And I think that's like this has really shaken things up with like obviously all these players going elsewhere. You don't really know who's going to come back if they want to come back. Like there's a load of players that haven't been announced as either way. There's players who like a lot of players that are retired that you wouldn't think would retire. And I think one thing that's actually going to be really interesting about this new league starts back up and all the Brits is obviously you've got almost half the league's worth of Brits are going to be going to new teams. And you know, the one thing is with Brits, as I find, especially in this league, they are quite settled in with their teams for the most part, like a lot of them. And this is going to really change that up.
It is certainty, isn't it? But at the moment there is uncertainty. So this is if you were going to take the jump now, it's the time to do it now. It's almost like a draft, isn't it? In a way.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of change of Brits. It's like obviously for this season now, this like short 12-week season, should it go ahead, and we all everyone doubles up on Brits. Obviously, that's going to be different. But I think going into next season, where obviously you would hope that all teams and like the whole normal structure like returns, I genuinely think there'll be quite a big change up in Brits because I think a lot of those teams are going to want to retain these new Brits. If they've brought in some Brits that are really good, if we bring in like some like a top Brit from like Dundee, Glasgow, are we going to be able to retain them? And like whatever team they come from, we'll have to like find a new Brit. And I think there is going to be quite a big cycle of Brits moving around, just where they're playing in new teams that they wouldn't have in different circumstances. And I think the teams are getting that the opportunity to try these new Brits that are normally quite settled elsewhere, and you could really get like a sort of big sort of cycle. And I think that's going to be really interesting. Obviously going into next season after this potential short season.
It is a bit like a draft in a way, because especially if we do start up, those players that are in contracts now probably won't be allowed to leave.
I think we'll struggle to get some back. I think like the likes of Mosey.
Some will be let back. Mosey, if his league doesn't start, obviously straight back.
Yeah. That's the one that stands out to me.
Lewis, obviously, if it is still at trial contract, I think would just jump straight back.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a couple that will have that option to come straight back.
To come back if they'll.
But I think I don't see like any of the Greenville guys coming back. Like I wouldn't want us to leave.
I wouldn't want them to come back there. Like they're playing in such a good league.
Yeah, exactly. And like you
to get that year's experience, just stay there, keep playing well, and then come back fresh for a new season.
But then then you look down, you think Fournier and Bolzano, people. That is that argument of is he going to come back anyway? Is he just moving on? Yeah. Richardson and Duggan, they're ones could Duggan end up coming back? Is he enjoying his time in Sweden? Or he's getting the ice time for the year. Obviously, with Richardson, it's all subjective to each player. Obviously, the ones that are retired, you're they're gone, and I think obviously the ones that haven't been announced either way, you'd hope that maybe you could get a couple of those back, and at least build up some sort of familiarity, and sort of to see what we put on ice.
I'd really like us to if we could leave the players, let them play abroad. Let them get that experience and come back next year and just cram the squad with young Brits.
Yeah.
Find the best 3 or 2.
Just sort of take a risk for the year. Just
play Toms. Play Toms in the lineup with 2 other Brits on that line.
That's the thing as well. Regardless of Brits in our league, you've got the whole NHL and the streaming series have shown there's some quality Brits there. And this could be genuinely the perfect chance for some of them to find some ice time, in our league.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a real nice opportunity. I think obviously it's more likely that a team's going to fill up with Brits from the IHL. But then I suppose if this is
going to be filtered down, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's always going to do that. It's just going to start off with the consistent people coming back and going straight in the team, and then. Yeah, I imagine it'd be a lot of people. People have no idea who they are. Really have a chance to make a name.
I think what will be interesting as well is obviously this would be like Scaldi's first appointment, I guess, with the Devils.
Yeah.
And then you've got, if he brings in like Brits, X, Y, and Z imports, sorry, like if he brings in any imports, there might be imports he wants to keep on. And then in terms of who he brings back next season, he might not bring back some more of the guys who've played away this year.
Exactly.
Like if he really sort of gels
his own players that he knows will perform well, that he's going to want to bring
obviously.
in.
Yeah.
I am. It's exciting to think of who the first player in will be. I mean, I hope it's someone new. I don't know if that sounds bad or not, but I wanted to see someone new rather than someone that we already have.
I think there's the argument where they have all moved on. Well, not moved on, but they're all getting this experience elsewhere. And it's if we are retaining this real big core, it's essentially like a holiday for these guys. Like if they want to stay in Cardiff, this is letting them have that experience that year away.
They get to play hockey to go on holiday.
Yeah, and then because obviously what you don't want is and I obviously you'd hope that no one would feel this. Someone spends a massive portion of their chunk in Cardiff, and then they're at the point that they don't get the opportunity to try other leagues, like play in other countries. And obviously nothing against Cardiff. Like Cardiff is obviously a brilliant place to play, which is why we've retained these players for so long. As a player, probably a big part of the thrill of it is playing in all these different countries, seeing like different like areas. And I think giving these players that year where they can go away and like get some like game time in another country might make them think, what, I've had that. I can now come back to Cardiff and play throughout, feeling a bit more satisfied that, they have had a bit of like variation.
Definitely. I mean, I'm trying to think. Would you rather a new player be the first announcement or Joey Martin? Let's not just say that if it's not Joey Martin first, it won't be him. But who would you rather see first?
I would rather Joey Martin, just because I think that is going to be like such a statement. Like captain's back, like, and I feel like that'll be such a big like boost for Devils fans because like it's Joey Martin, like he's the GOAT. Like I think starting off like boom, like hockey's back, Joey Martin, and then obviously we can start to build up. Who else we bringing in? I'm guessing then you'd get a thread of mostly what Brits would be coming in, because I'm guessing every team's going to be fighting for the best Brits in the rest of the league. So they want to get that out quickly. And then it's going to be like, right, okay, what are the imports? Can we bring any other imports back? Can we what other imports are haven't found a team yet? Like what free agents can we find? So I think it's going to be a very different dynamic during this, I guess, off season that would take us up to like New Year, like in this next sort of month. Because I'm from the statement, it seems like the rinks can open for like training from today. So there's like a few steps before that, but I think it seems like we're on the right path to get things back. But I think it's going to be definitely a different dynamic from normal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're approaching an hour and a half, a minute-long podcast. That would be interesting. Approaching an hour and a half. I know. I just we were talking about this earlier. How long do you reckon? About 40 minutes. An hour and a half later.
Well, people probably stopped listening like half hour ago now.
Probably. We've been rambling a long time. Anyway, is there anything you wanted to promote? I can add it in.
Anything I want to promote?
Maybe your Twitter. Are you active?
Yeah, give my Twitter a follow. It's at joecook_44. I post a lot of design content. Most of it is Devils. Some cool logos and stuff up there. So yeah, give that a check out. Apart from that, I think that's probably about it.
There we go. Well, thanks for coming on. That was
a pleasure.
Really good. Well, this is my second one now. I've enjoyed both of them. I mean, hopefully people have enjoyed them. I mean, first one I posted during this.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a listen now after this.
Hopefully it's gone well.
I'm going to be fed up.
I don't know what podcast you out. You've done an hour and a half. I don't expect you to go and watch like another 40-minute podcast straight after, but cheers for that.
Your voice is going to be ringing through my head all night.
Exactly. I mean, good luck sleeping because it's just going to be my voice. Anyway, yeah, I'll end it there. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed. Well, I think I'm working on podcast 3 now, I guess.
On the way.
God, I mean, it's a lot of hockey. Started with nothing, 2 podcasts back to back. Now I've got to find 3. I don't know.
The thing, the issue you're going to have now, though, is you're going to go through so much hockey news so quickly before anything else starts happening. But we're going to be back to square one talking about nothing.
Talking about nothing again. In fairness, me and you talk. We talk too much as it is. I mean, we
can ramble. I mean, it was the show have been an hour and a half. I thought we were like a 40 minutes, maybe. Hour and a half.
This is what I was on about when we said. Right, we'll leave it there. We can talk after the podcast.
Leave it.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully you'll join us for part 3 as well. Thank you very much, and goodbye.